Hi vinyl community, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to show you some of my folk records, this time by duos, and also talk a little bit about the English folk revival of the 1950s and the 1960s. So I'll start off by talking about two members of a very important family in the English folk revival, and this is the Copper family. And the Copper family have lived in the parish of Rottingdean at least since 1593. There's a parish record of a copper being married in the church there in 1593, and they still live there today. And the Coppers made their living by farm labouring, being shepherds, working on the land in general, but also they like to sing together. And the songs that they sung, they handed down from generation to generation. And then in 1896, two brothers, James and Tom Copper, were visited by a musicologist called Mrs. Kate Lee. And Mrs. Lee collected around 50 songs from James and Tom. And they found their way into the library of the English Folk Dance and Song Society in 1898. And the English Folk Song, or Folk Dance and Song Society, I should say, are very important because they have an extensive library of collected folk songs from all around the country. And this is a resource that is used by many of the folk singers I'm going to talk about in this video. So let's start off with this then. So it's Bob and Ron Copper, members of the Copper family, and Bob was the grandson of James Copper, who had his songs collected in 1896, and Ron was Bob's cousin. And this album is from the English Folk Dance and Song Society, as you can see, and it was released in 1963, and it comes with this sort of rather quaint sort of little booklet that sort of looks like it's hand typed with the lyrics of all the songs that they sing, and the collection itself is from sort of various recordings that were made by, and I've written his name down somewhere. Yes, a guy called Peter Kennedy recorded songs sung by Bob and Ron in the late 1950s. And as I say, this was put onto record and collected the traditional songs of Rottingdean in 1963. And quite a few of these songs will be familiar with people who are familiar with the English folk revival. I mean, for instance, we got Lark in the Morning, a song that has been sung by, I think Martyn Carthy has done it, Steel Eye Span have definitely done it. There's Hard Times of Old England that's been done by just about everybody. Shirley Collins has done a version of that, and again, Steel Eye Span, I think, did a version. Then you've got Babes in the Wood, which again is a song that Shirley Collins has recorded on more than one occasion. So, this is it. This is part of the sort of source of the folk songs that people like Shirley Collins and others were singing in the 1950s and the 1960s. I mean, there are many other collectors, and I'll come to those as we get on with the video. People like A.L. Lloyd and Cecil Sharp were two of the big ones, but there was also sort of other collections that the artists draw upon. So I mentioned Shirley Collins, and I think it's only right that I should show this album. Folk Roots, New Roots, Shirley Collins and Davy Graham. This is an absolute classic of the English folk revival, and actually I think this was a Record Store Day release from 2 or 3 years ago. It's not an original, but I think you can still pick up sort of original albums for probably not too much money anyway. So we've got on here Nottingham Town. Again, it says traditional song arranged by Cecil Sharp. Then the Cherry Tree Carol, which is a song that was written by Shirley Collins. And what else have we got? Hares on the Mountain. Hares on the Mountain is a very sort of interesting one. This, again, a traditional song, and this version is arranged by Shirley Collins and Davy Graham. Shirley Collins has recorded this song about at least 3 times. She recorded it in the late 50s. A version that she says she doesn't really like very much. It was collected from Cecil Sharp, and she said it was a little bit trivial. She preferred the version on this album. And also, in 2022, she recorded another version of it for her album Archangel Hill that was released in 2023. So there's a 49-year gap between the release of this album in 1964 and the release of Archangel Hill in 2023. And they both have versions of Hares on a Mountain on them. 2 very different versions, because Shirley's voice changed dramatically in later life. So that's an absolutely brilliant album. So if if you've got any interest at all in the English folk revival, you really, really need this record. Right. Next up, let's talk about Dave Swarbrick and Martyn Carthy. Dave Swarbrick is known to most people, I suppose, as the violin player, the fiddle player for Fairport Convention, amongst others, but he's collaborated with all sorts of people over the years. And he's done quite a few albums with Martyn Carthy. So this is Biker Hill, Martyn Carthy and Dave Swarbrick, and it's on the Topic record label, and it's a reissue from 1977, and the original was released on Fontana, I think, and that came out in 1967. And again, the kind of folk collecting sort of ethos is here, and we start off with what should we talk about? Yes, John Barleycorn. The John Barleycorn is a very, very famous song about the demise and resurrection of the barley crop. That is used to make strong English ale. And the song that or the version that Martyn Carthy and Dave Swarbrick choose to use here is from Bampton in Oxfordshire, and it was collected by Cecil Sharp. So there you go. And another song on here, Our Captain Cried All Hands. It's quite an interesting one, because the tune of this song was actually adapted by Ralph Vaughan Williams in 1906 to be the tune for the very famous hymn, To Be a Pilgrim, he who would valiant be, as it is sometimes known, which is about sort of Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. So yeah, so this is a very good album, as all of Martyn Carthy's albums are, particularly those with Dave Swarbrick. Right, so I'll stick with Dave Swarbrick and go for this one. This is English folk music in its natural setting. So this is Dave Swarbrick and Simon Nicol live at the White Bear. And the White Bear is a pub in North Yorkshire, in a village called Massam, which is quite close to the city of Ripon. And Massam is a home of Old Peculiar, Theakston's brewery. And the White Bear was the brewery pub. And I've been there a few times. Unfortunately, I wasn't I wasn't in the pub in 1981 when this album was recorded, but it's absolutely brilliant. I should mention Simon Nicol, of course, is probably most famous for being the guitarist in Fairport Convention. And there's some really, really good songs on here. There's Fiddlesticks, which I think has come to be a sort of theme tune for Dave Swarbrick over the years. You've got Hen's March and Four Poster Bed, which again, a great sort of jigs, and then you've got Three Drunken Maidens, which is a song that I think just about everybody has recorded over the years. And we have the Widow of Westmoreland's Daughter, which is about a young lady losing her virginity and her mother being not too pleased about it, which again is a recurring theme in these sort of songs. And apparently, sort of this album was recorded for BBC Radio Manchester for broadcast, and it says on the back that they used their second best tape recorder to capture this. And again, as a tribute to Dave Swarbrick, Theakston's produced a special edition of their ale Old Peculiar, which they called Swarb's Old Peculiar. So there you go. That's Dave Swarbrick again, but this time with Simon Nicol. Right, 1971, and this is Summer Solstice, and it's an album by Maddy Pryor and Tim Hart, and they were, of course, most famously members of Steel Eye Span, and there's some great sort of songs in here. We've got Three Drunken Maidens appears on here again, The Ploughboy and the Cockney again, which is a song that comes up quite a lot in English folk revival albums. False Night on the Road, a song that Martyn Carthy, amongst others, has also sung. And there's a song, Dancing at Whitsun. And Dancing at Whitsun is a more sort of modern song. And so I'll show you the label. It's on B&C Records, which is quite a good sort of English folk label of the time. And Dancing at Whitsun is a song about ladies in the 1960s dancing alone on May Day around the maypole. And the reason that they're dancing alone is that many of them sort of lost their partners in the Great War. And in fact, there was a record of members of May Day societies and English country dance societies in the 1960s. And it turned out that there were lots and lots of female members, a lot more than male members. So yeah, Dancing at Whitsun, absolutely lovely song. Rather sad, but absolutely lovely. Right, okay. Well, let's turn to the 1970s. And this is an album actually from 1970. And by this time, we're getting more into the sort of singer-songwriters in the folk tradition, sort of coming into play. So we're moving a little bit away from the traditional songs and more to the sort of more modern songs. And this is a lovely album. This is Stormbringer by John and Beverley Martyn, and it's an absolutely lovely album. I don't think there's very much to say. It's on the Island label. There you go. And yeah, just see the back. There you go. There it is. So John and Beverley Martyn were married at the time, and yeah, songs on here. There's Stormbringer, the title track that was written by John Martyn. Woodstock, again written by John Martyn. Can't Get the One I Want, which is a Beverley Martyn song. The Ocean, which is I think is a really lovely song. Again, that's written by Beverley Martyn, and the whole thing sort of ends with Would You Believe Me, a great sort of John Martyn song. So this is, you know, very much sort of singer-songwriter sort of folk music. And, you know, talking about sort of married couples, sort of duos, I can't really leave out Richard and Linda Thompson. And this is their album First Light. And there's a picture of them there. And this came out in 1978. And there are two absolutely brilliant songs on here. There's, well, in fact, there are probably 10 or 12 brilliant songs on here, but two that I like in particular are on side 2. And there's Strange Affair, which was, I think that was just a Richard Thompson. Let's have a look. Yes, that was a Richard Thompson. And then Pavan, which was written by Richard and Linda Thompson. And both of those songs were covered by one of my favourite English folk singers, and that's June Tabor. And June covered Strange Affair on her album with Martyn Simpson called A Cut Above. So that's another folk duo for you to explore. And it's absolutely brilliant. And then Pavan, she recorded later on, and I think it's on her album Against the Streams. I didn't write it down. But again, you know, this is a lovely album, and I would recommend it to anybody. And finally, I thought I'd sort of bring us sort of up to date, really. And this is a duo, again, male and female, the partners, and they're called Native Harrow, and they're from Sussex, or they live in Sussex at the moment, and they're from New York State, and had the good fortune of sort of seeing them live, and then having a good chat with them afterwards. And they'd moved to the village of Ditchling, which is in Sussex, quite near to Brighton, quite near to where I was born. And you know, they're called Devin Toole, that's the lady, and then there's Stephen Harms. So they write all their songs together. Those sort of Devin is the lyricist, and as you can see, they signed the inner for me, and it just says thank you, see you down the road, Native Harrow. So yeah, this is a really nice, you know, modern folk album. I'll show you the label. There you go. It's called, I think I mentioned that, it's called Old Kind of Magic, which I think is a really nice title for a folk album. So you've got Song for Joan on here, which is lovely. The title track is absolutely brilliant. And you've got Magic Eye on side 2, which is one that I really like. And Long Road is probably my favourite track on here. So there you go. So finish off with a record from 2022, Old Kind of Magic by Native Harrow, a folk duo situated in Sussex, but from New York State. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed sort of that little trip through my folk record collection, and I'll see you next time. So bye bye.